Paris, Illinois, parks aplenty. I'm WEIU's Lacey Spence, and in this episode of Take a Hike the mini-series, I'll share why you should visit one of Paris, Illinois' dozen parks.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Roll King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Roll King at rollking.com.
Hi, I'm WEIU's Lacey Spence. I've lived in Central Illinois my whole life, and if there's one thing I've learned, you don't have to go too far to find the beauty of the great outdoors. Come along with me as I visit a variety of parks and natural areas across Illinois, and share why you should take a hike to each episode's location. Adventure and fun await in Take a Hike, the mini-series. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Take a Hike the mini-series. I'm your host, Lacey Spence, and today we have taken the show on the road to Paris, Illinois. And of course, we're welcoming in our fabulous guests. We have our first mayor on the show. We've got Mayor Craig Smith. Welcome to Take a Hike.
Well, welcome to Paris, Illinois.
Thank you so much. And so we were talking before we started recording that there are several parks within Paris, so you might not expect it. So tell me about, all the parks.
We've got 12 parks in Paris. Some of them are very small, some of them are a little larger, like the park we're in now. All of them are used, I'm happy to say, by all of the citizens of Paris. We've always been very particular about taking care of our parks and letting people enjoy them for lots of different reasons, but we love our parks in Paris.
Sure, and I should probably let the people at home know. Today we are at Twin Lakes Park. That's where we've started. We are on the west side, and we're going to save the east end for a little bit later in the show. So let's start talking a little bit about this west side of the park. What does this have to offer? Because it seems like there is plenty.
As you look around the West Park, there are a lot of things going on. We have the All Abilities Park, which is just over to your right, and we also have the Splash Park next to that. Then we have the concession stand. We have the miniature golf. We have our Spicer Pavilion, which is a big deal in the summer because we have free concerts every Thursday night.
Yeah.
And people come with what I call their grandma, grandpa chairs, and they sit around and they listen to music. The music is anything from pop to country, and it is really packed. And a lot of people enjoy just coming out and taking advantage and looking at how beautiful it is, listening to free music. And then over to our left side, we have another pavilion where people have a lot of family reunions that they come over. And there's always great fishing in Paris. Mm-hmm. You can ask any bass fisherman in Central Illinois, where is the best bass fishing lake? And I'll guarantee you they'll tell you Twin Lakes at Paris, Illinois.
That's high praise.
Yeah, it's fun, I tell you. And so they have tournaments going on here all the time. So this park is really used a lot. To give you a little history,
sure.
In 1963, there was a local group called the Silvertones.
Okay.
And they were a pop group, 4 guys, I think maybe 4, maybe 5. They had the lead singer, a couple of guitar players, they had the drummer, maybe a little keyboard going on. Their first concert was right over here in 1963. So that's 60 years ago, and 4 weeks ago, under that pavilion, there were 1,000 people who showed up for the reunion of the Silvertones. Crazy.
Wow.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
No, that sounds like a good time. And so what's it like for you as mayor to be able to have a place where people can gather and, really come together and build that community?
That's a great way to say it too. It gives you that community spirit, I think.
Yeah.
And it's fun when everybody can get together. On the weekends, you'll have several groups. You'll have groups over here, you'll have groups over. There's horseshoes at the other place. Kids will be at the splash park. Grandparents will be with their kids on the all abilities. It's just a great place to bring and gather and get that community spirit, and having some place that doesn't cost a dime to come.
Sure.
That's the other issue, is it's something that we are very proud of in Paris, and we want everybody to take advantage of.
And what's it like to be able to have, an all abilities playground, like you say, so that everyone can have a space to enjoy?
That's right. A lot of these kids were left out. And the All Abilities allows every kid, no matter what disability the child may have, to take advantage and to have fun. And that's so good. And then right next door is the splash park.
Yeah.
So what a combo. It's a great combo.
And about when did the splash pad get completed?
Splash pad's been here for about 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
About a year later, then the All Abilities came about. About 10 years ago, we had our Plus had the miniature golf. So it's always been kind of we're always working on improving. And this year, this fall, we'll redo the bathrooms and update. And so we're always looking to update and fix things up.
Sure, and so we're taping this in the fall of 2023. Our folks will see it in the spring of 2024, so hopefully, some new facilities, things to check out. And so as we're sitting in this area of Twin Lakes, it didn't always look like this, but I know that Twin Lakes has a rich history. Can you talk a little bit about that and bring the folks at home up to speed?
Sure. When I was younger here, and this was in the 60s, over here was an indoor pavilion where the bands would play, and
Okay.
they had pinball machines, and they sold ice cream. They had a dock that went out. People swam on this side. They had rowboats that they had the paddle boats. Since that time, it's all been changed. The pavilion is now gone, the indoor pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
We just moved the band over to the larger pavilion over there. So the actual size of the park has always stayed the same, but we've just been adding things for this generation.
Sure.
And so there's some great pictures, and I hope you all are able to find some showing what this looked like back in 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
It's neat. It's really neat.
Well, and it's nice to see a space that, is listening to the community, listening to their needs, and trying to, mold and go with those. I always have to ask, is there anything in the hopper for the future?
Well, the future, like I mentioned, we're going to redo all the bathrooms over here, so there'll be modern bathrooms. Just recently on the east side, there was an old glass factory that had been empty for maybe 15 or 20 years. A young man bought it and has remodeled it, and it's now the home of the Smash Burgers in Paris. It's called the Old Glass Shop, and you can go over there, you can get your fishing bait, you can rent a kayak, you can have a smash burger, and that's always on that side of the lake, so that's new. This side, we will always just continue to work on improving what we have. And so this next summer, when people come here in the spring, the miniature golf will be up to date and will be probably renovated somewhat. So we're always looking at improving.
Sure. Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, so we've hit Twin Lakes really well. Can you tell me about some of the other dozen parks that stands out? Where else should people be checking out?
Well, just to our back side would be Black Hawk Park. In Black Hawk Park, we used to refer to that when I was younger as the Boy Scout, Girl Scout Woods. And that was where people would go and their troops would go and they would camp out and they would do things outside looking for arrowheads and doing all kinds of outdoor activities. So that park is over there. There's a little itty bitty park right over by the city hall, and it's right beside there, and it's got a nice mural and it's got a bench, and it's just some place where somebody can go and sit down and just listen and just watch and see what's going on. Sylvian Park is over on the south side of town. There's a new park called Swartz Park, where an old lawyer who happened to be in my law firm had passed away and donated his house and this property, he and his wife, and it's now called Schwartz Park. And it's a great place where people can park their cars, walk around. It's right in the middle of town. So there are parks all over town that people can take advantage of and use.
And there's Kiwanis Memorial
Oh,
Park.
the Kiwanis Memorial Park.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's near and dear to my heart because my father and my father-in-law were in World War II. My son was in Iraq, and so this is for a war memorial for anybody who has served, and it is a beautiful place to go and remember those that have done so much for our community and our country by serving. And we're very proud of that park. Kiwanis Park is a wonderful park to come to.
No, definitely. And so then also, hop, skip, and a jump. I don't know if it's technically a different park, but there's also a really cool landmark that's in that general vicinity. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's at that Kiwanis Park, and the land, it's what I would call a modern sculpture of Eiffel Tower. And it's right there at Kiwanis Park, and it's you can tell it goes up and moves around like this, and it's been, and a local man, John Chittick, made it and donated it to the city, and we put it up this summer.
No, and it's so cool to have something like that with Paris being your namesake, because I feel like I've heard of, Paris, France, obviously, Paris, Texas, but it's like, hello, Paris, Illinois has a lot to offer too, and come check out our sweet little, twisted Eiffel Tower.
Check the Eiffel Tower, then you can walk around the Memorial Park and see all the men and women who served in the military.
Yes.
It's a beautiful park to walk around, and it's right between the two big parks that we're in now. So it's you can't help but just stop and say hi.
Right, pay homage.
Yes.
And so, is there also a ball field within Paris that's at one of the parks?
Laker Stadium
Laker
Park.
Stadium.
Guess what? We used to have a minor league baseball team there.
What?
From the Chicago Cubs. And they were there in the late 50s, very early 60s was their last season. They were called the Paris Lakers.
Okay.
And the Laker Stadium. And so that is also a park, and that is just to the south of where we are now. And now that has gone through a lot of renovation where we have put in more money for concession stand, for seating, and redid the field, and it really looks very similar to what it did when we had the minor league team here.
Ah, that's awesome. So who plays there now?
Now we have the high school plays a few games there, but they have their own field. We have a junior setup where the junior plays, and that's probably 16 to 18. And we have a lot of tournaments in the summer where people will come, and they love to come to because it's almost like playing in a major league field because it's the same dimensions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat when other teams come, and they really like to visit Paris for their baseball. Traveling teams.
Now, I would be wanting to try and get, like a pickup game with the people I work with or something, just to kind of get that feel. It sounds so cool.
You could do it, Lacey. Just bring your groups and
bring them on over to
That's
Paris,
right.
Old Paris. And so what's it like for you to be able to talk about how you saw it? I don't want to say back in the day in a bad way, but I mean, you got to see it transform from being great then, being great again. What's it like for you?
Yeah, I can walk through here because my parents moved here in the 50s, and so I can remember what it was like as a teenager in the 60s. What I think we've been able to do, in reality, is to keep it having that same feel.
Yeah.
That feel that this is our park, that we have now let it grow into things where kids who have disabilities can now enjoy this park. The kids who can't go to a pool can come to the splash park.
Yeah.
The parents can come and have all of their meetings with their friends, church groups, reunions. So I think we've kept that same spirit that we had before. It is nostalgic.
Sure.
Driving around and going like, well, I remember when the Silvertones were playing in 1963 right over there. And I show the kids, and then when we were here for their reunion, their 60th reunion, I said, there are those guys. They were over here, now they're over there.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of neat.
And so besides those events, you were talking about how in the summer there are constantly concerts out here. Are there any other big events or things that people should put on their calendar, kind of save the date or be thinking about that they should come out to the park to check on?
And when we open up the parks in the spring, it's always a great time to come out because we just call that our spring opening.
Okay.
And then 4th of July is always big. The fireworks are right here at this park, so people are all over, and the lake will be full of boats on both sides watching the fireworks. So 4th of July is always a big deal. And in the fall, we've got our honeybee festival, which is big, and we use this area also. So the parks are interwoven in everything that's going on in Paris. We use them either, they may have old cars coming out here and parking, and people can come and see the old cars while things are going on downtown. But we try to use them all at the same time. So spring's a great time to come, 4th of July, and then don't forget the honeybee, and last but not least, Christmas in Paris.
Ooh, tell me about it. I'm a Christmas fiend.
Christmas in Paris, downtown, and also at the parks. We have, the parks are lit up.
Okay.
So right at the 4th, not the 4th, but Thanksgiving, all of these park areas will have displays, Christmas displays, and you can drive around in your car. So the park will be full of displays, downtown will be full of displays, and the big tree will be lit up for Christmas, for Santa time.
Sure. No, love that.
Yeah, we also have Santa House downtown too. So you got to come and see the old man, you know, make sure you've been good. Lacey,
Right.
have you been good?
Oh, I am of course on the nice list. Somewhere towards the middle, I'm sure, at least. So we've covered a lot here today. Is there anything that I haven't quite hit on that is important to tell about the parks?
No, I think what I like to tell people is that we're very proud of our parks in Paris, and we want them to be used. We don't want them just to sit there and nobody go and walk in them, sit down, think about things. We want them to be used, and I'm happy to tell you that our parks are used. And I think that if people will come to Paris, get a map, go by the Chamber of Commerce, there's a map, and all the parks are shown on the map. And that would be a great little trip.
Right.
You could hit different parks, see which, and then always end up, you know, at the old glass shop and get you a smash burger.
Right. So I also have to ask, if I'm somebody who wants to get more information or, you know, to see when those events specifically are, is there a Facebook page or a website or good place to?
Yes, we have both. We have a Facebook page, and we also have the city web page, which you can go to either one. There's also the Chamber is also a good place to look. So City of Paris has both, and the Chamber.
And do you know, are there any sort of cleanup days or ways for people to give back to the parks?
They have different organizations that will maybe adopt a park, and they may go by and pick up some stuff. They have kids that volunteer all the time.
Yeah.
People want to keep the parks clean. They want to help, and we do have a lot of civic organizations, a lot of volunteerism in Paris, and that also helps the parks stay where they are.
No, I mean, it takes a community effort to keep such a entity, you know, looking nice and people making sure they take advantage of it. And of the 12 parks, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite spot to sit and reflect as you're kind of talking about?
Well, the one we're in now, I really love. My office is just on the south side, and I've got a foster dog that I bring to work every day.
Yeah.
And so about 10 o'clock, he and I walk around this park every day. And that's kind of special. And of course, it also brings back memories of when I was 9 to 18 years old. This park was the integral part of all of us growing up. So this is probably the one for me.
It's nice to see that, you know, you as one of the members of the community see such a value in your outdoor spaces. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to transition to the east side of Twin Lakes. So don't go anywhere, take a hike. We'll be right back. It is such a joy to be able to bring you fun outdoor shows like Take a Hike, the mini-series. But did you know that through the PBS app, you can get access to even more great outdoor shows? Let me explain the PBS app real quick. So the PBS app in general is free, and it's an excellent way to live stream the content on WEIU. You can also get to all of our local shows through the PBS app, but it gets even better. If you give $5 a month, that's just one fancy cup of coffee, you can get access to PBS Passport. And Passport is your ticket to over 1,000+ hours of PBS shows, including more great outdoor shows like Nature, as well as Rick Steves. He will take you along on his travels everywhere under the sun. And again, that's through PBS Passport. It's our streaming service. You can watch anytime, anywhere at your leisure for only $5 a month. So if you would like to become a sustaining member of WEIU and get access to this great member benefit, you can go online right now to WEIU.net. You can scan the code at the bottom of the screen, and you can also call us at the station, and we'll make sure to help you unlock this great member benefit called PBS Passport. Now let's get back to Take a Hike, the mini-series. Welcome back. We have switched to the East Lake Park, and we've still got Mayor Craig Smith with us here. So there's a lot of fun recreation opportunities on this side. So fill us in. What do we got?
Okay, right behind us we have the swimming area that you can see, and so this is open all through the summer. And then the boat dock where they can put the boats in are just over to that side over my shoulder. This is an area for fishing, great bass fishing, bluegill. Also the larger motors can come here, so you have skiing and you have any kind of water activity that anybody wants as it goes around and around to the side that way. So it's a great used lake in the summer, and there'll be a lot of boats out here.
Sure. And do you know if I'm wanting to bring my boat out here, is there any sort of like tag or sticker I need to get?
There's a sticker that you get at City Hall.
Okay.
And it's not much. I think it's $25 or $50, something like that, for all summer. And then we have a lot of bass tournaments out here. And then right over the camera is another pavilion where a lot of people have their family reunions out here as well.
Yes, and so you talk about this area being, highly utilized in the summer. Kind of paint the picture. What would we typically see? Families picnicking or?
Oh, you'd see a bunch of picnicking going on over here. You'd be a lot of kids would be swimming here. There would be many boats as well, large boats. You'd be skiing would be here. You'd see fishermen over here. You see a lot of houses on each side with all of their individual boat docks. It's a very utilized area.
Yes. And so, there was so much action where we started our episode. There's a lot of action here, and we've got one more spot that we want to show you. So let's go check it out.
Let's go see it.
We're back, and I wish that the people at home could smell through the TV.
Oh.
Okay, the smell coming off of the old glass shop is phenomenal. How did this come to be?
This might be a little smash burger you're smelling right now.
Yeah.
And this opened about a year ago, and it's a young man that took a swing at a new business in Paris. And I'd like to tell you that if you want to open a business in Paris, don't just come and see our parks, but we'll let you open a business as well. The Old Glass Shop right over our shoulder, and it's home of the famous smash burgers.
And again, the smell coming from just across the water here, top notch. And so you're also telling me that through the Old Glass Shop, there's also still some more recreation opportunities besides getting some good grub. So what are those?
There are. As you can see, there's a father and two sons. It looks like fishing right off of the city dock.
Yeah.
And off of the dock, through the glass shop, you can rent kayaks, and you can go out through the lake and enjoy kayaks. Don't go out that first time for about 8 hours. You'll find out it's a little long, but maybe an hour or two would be a good thing to do. But you can rent the kayaks right over here as you get your smash burgers. That bee's trying to get me.
Say the Honey Bee Festival is very well named. No, but there's plenty of recreation opportunities in Paris, especially from the park. So Mayor Craig Smith, thank you so much for making time for us today and coming on Take a Hike.
Lacey, thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. And thank you to our viewers for joining us for this episode of Take a Hike. We hope to see you next time.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Roll King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Roll King at rollking.com.